One of the most beautiful things that you as a man, you as a woman are capable of is your expression with somebody else. Whether that's through empathy and socializing and connection and feeling with one another, or through sex and feeling one another through our bodies, our minds, and the different state that happens within that. But see, in our society, we don't see sex as normal. We don't see empathy as normal. We see taking, we see dominance, we see power, being some of the values of our culture. And when that happens, this urge of what we are born to be that we came with as women and men can only be voiced through a distortion in order to make sense. If we see sex and socializing in an empathetic way and in a seductive way as abnormal, we will seek abnormal ways to express it. And this is what has happened to the dating and seduction industry, and this is really what this video is about. Last night I put up a post saying that the dating industry you're going to see a collapse. You're going to see a collapse of the different coaches that have been very prominent and known for years start to melt down before your eyes, and we can all sit back and watch the ride. But then at the same time, we're going to see an upsurgence of men and women talking about sex in a healthy way and all the different expressions of how it can happen. There's really no rules, and the beauty of it, and how we can be socially and sexually healthy of what we were born to be. And I want to get into this because pickup has always been teaching somewhat of a lie. It's been dependent upon you not being good enough to have your fulfillment of the urge of sex and socializing that you as a man or a woman may desire, that you've got to do something else. You've got to be more valuable than somebody. You've got to be better, and that if somehow more people look at us and like us and we get more attention and reactionism from our society and culture, then we're going to be a man. Then we're going to be healthy. Then we're going to know what it's like to be sexually and socially fulfilled. Or if we have a presence of a man or a woman, if we have the warrior connection and the spirit and whatever it means to be a man, if we're more alpha and we hold the image, then we're going to be fulfilled sexually. We're going to know what it's like to be a man. We're going to know what it's like to make decisions with clarity and so on, and, be socially and sexually fulfilled. And also, we're taught in pickup that there's this skill, there's this foolproof technique that hacks nature, that hacks a female's DNA, that hacks how she thinks and who she is, and that somehow if we do that, we can get the sex that we want, we can get the control that we want, and we can get the fulfillment. And let me tell you something about scarcity and starvation. When we are frustrated, when we are angry, when we want to control, when we want to dominate, when we resent, when we want revenge, when we hate, when we go to war within ourselves, we go to war within other people, that is because our needs aren't being met. We aren't being fed, we're being starved. Think about that when it comes to social value, when it comes to the alphaness, the image, when it comes to the technique that you're going to do and what that technique is doing. And think about this when you think about your lives in seduction and how we think about it. I'm going to control, I'm going to own, I'm going to get more. I'm going to have, I'm going to own. These are all actually things that if we look in the history of man, if we look in the nature of man, did not come until we had population-dense societies. So that means for millions of years, how we evolved and what we were born to be socially and sexually, they actually did not, that was not there. These are new problems. They are phenomenons, and actually you could say they're the nature of man when he becomes starved, when he becomes overpopulated, when his needs are not being met through mind, through emotion, through sex, and through what we need to eat. And what we're going to see with pickup and a lot of the instructors that have been super successful, and this is one of the sad things about, being the host of the 21 Convention, having my own podcast, and being in the scene for a long time and being on good terms with pretty much everybody, is that I really know everybody. I know their lives. And of course, we might see them as, some iconic thing, or, you may not be as close to them as I, but man, there is such a starvation happening. There's such a chaos building and there's such a frustration building that is what I'm talking about. And this is why. A lot of these instructors who haven't been challenged, who've gotten a lot of success, who haven't needed to look at themselves or look at why they failed because they were getting success, money, or validation from areas that, were fulfilling them in other ways. For instance, if they fell in love or had a girlfriend and yet could go and look at 20 other women or fanboys or whatever following them. They didn't need to work on that. Is that they've honed and shaped an image of themselves that has bought into that own lie. That if they could get more attention, if they could hold more of an image, and if they could gain more of a skill, then finally they would be fulfilled and successful. And the sad fact of the matter is for the past 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever years, 15 years maybe for some of them that we've seen, they have been starving. And when you starve and you are holding up an image and you are afraid to show it to the world, then that war is fucking within yourself. And let me tell you something about love and connection and being a man and living a life where I've actually been passionate about and been very honest with people in my life about, is that when you live for something and you put yourself out there and you fight for it, you lose a lot. You fail a lot. When you fall in love and you feel passion and connection with somebody, you feel the highs of connection, but also the intense loss and pain of it leaving you. And let me tell you, within that, there's a beautiful shaping, because life and happiness and sex and seduction and rapport and all the benefits of your social and sexual life is a constant. It's something which always goes. It isn't dependent upon highs and lows. It's something that is an expression of you. And the more we see life and beauty and all the good things about it as an erratic up and down of I got $100, but then I've lost it, or I had a girl wink and smile at me, and then one of my friends broke a deal with me, that's not a constant life. True rapport, true connection, true seduction, and everything that it teaches you, and the more that you have fulfilling interactions in your life, you see it as that it's always there, it's available everywhere. And yes, when it does go away, man, it can hurt. But dealing with that hurt and holding on to that tension, that's what makes you a man, that's what makes you a woman, and that's what makes you a beauty. And this is the voicing of what I see of, man, this new style of coach, this new voice of seduction, and this new resonance of what people are talking about. You know, it's interesting because I started out in the pickup scene as a very aggressive person. It's like one of the most sexually aggressive groups, defined SNLs, and man, that's what I was known for. Writing about sex, my early lay reports way back in the day, there weren't videos and all this fucking bullshit online. And I'm glad that I had my immaturity phase of the seduction scene in more of a written form on private forums than I did on this YouTube spammy shit of, God, men searching for validation. And shit, that's what I was doing. But I just did a podcast with my old mentor, Captain Jack, way back when, interesting guy. And all we do is talk about technique. All we do is talk about what works and what we got from it. But one of the fucking key points of everything that we discussed in that interview, watch it when it comes out, it's pretty badass. If you're into some straight up techniques, it's there, is that what has happened in this scene of men who have not gotten to a functional aptitude of life, and yet they learned a skill that didn't even work. What we got and what we learned was a skill that cared about sex. We wanted to get laid. And what happened when we started having more sex and more connection with people is we stopped making it about getting, controlling, being starved, and being angry. And we started having to look at ourselves and realizing what happened, that when you needed to evolve to be a man. The more sex I had with women when I was a fucked up human being, it forced me to look at that fucked upness, that pain, that chaos, and work on it and change for the best. And man, sadly, I don't hear that voice enough, but we're starting to hear it more with the new coaches that are coming out of it. But man, let me just tell you, and let me just give you a heads up and a warning. Any coach that says social value is going to make you a better person, any coach that says an image of a man or being an alpha is going to make you a better person, any coach that says that their skill overrides the nature of what is fucking within you, fuck them. They're going to hurt you. They've hurt men more than they've ever hurt women. And man, if you want to be socially and sexually healthy, it's easy. Go out, have a conversation with somebody. Go out, give somebody a hug. Go out and have a real interaction with somebody that's dependent upon you being you and them being them. Start learning techniques within that, and shit starts coming together. man, sex is a beautiful thing. Let's share that message and promote that word. Thanks for watching.